Mary's gonna look at, Mary goes, that is, oh, Mary's.
Now calling to order a regular meeting of City Council, Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilwoman Rogancy.
Here.
Councilman Dwyer.
Here.
Councilwoman McGee. Here. Councilman Boyke.
Here.
Councilman Noonan.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilwoman Moore is present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item, adoption of the agenda. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion?
Oh, point of order. It's the consent agenda.
Yes.
Item 4.
Oh.
You had said agenda.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 5, adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to add is item 14B, proposed resolution approving application with County of Macomb for Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program for fiscal year 2024 local solicitation, and authorizing mayor and clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding. This item came in earlier today. It's time sensitive. It needs to be approved today, so that is why it's being added at this time.
Madam Secretary, where is it being added?
As 14B.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar pending matters. Motion to receive and file.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 7, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 8th, 2024. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is approval of the bills. A, general revenue funds. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Madam Secretary.
Yes, there is an item on our list of bills to the law firm of Guerin Lukal Miller for the services that Mr. John Galuli and I believe Ebony Duff provided to the Civil Service Commission. They did the work, and I'm not going to make a motion not to pay them, but there's a question about how they were hired, who hired them, who had the authority to hire them. The Civil Service Commission never met and decided to hire an attorney, so there's certainly a violation of the Open Meetings Act there, and only City Council can hire outside legal counsel, and that never came before council. So in the future, I would just caution any of the commissions to be very careful about legal representation and hiring them without authority. Thank you.
Any additional discussion?
Madam President,
Mr. Noonan.
when I was looking through the bills, I believe the Civil Service Commission members, is it a commission, whatever, were paid if they did, do they actually meet, and do they deserve to get paid, or, okay, good, thank you. Just checking.
Any additional discussion?
Shame on me. Nope, I yield.
Thank you. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes,
Rogan C is a yes. Sorry, McGee.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item.
Next item is 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer systems. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
yes,
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8C, General Fund Revenue Report of July 2024. Motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 8E, approval of, it is the General Fund Revenue Report for August 2024. No, it's the General Fund Expenditure Report of July 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item.
8E, General Fund Revenue Report for August 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Next item.
Next item is General Fund Expenditure Report, August 2024. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 9, audience participation for agenda items only.
Thank you. Members of the audience who would like to address City Council this evening may do so by filling out an audience form located on the right side of the stage. This is a reminder that per our council rules and procedures, you must write your name and address on the audience form. You have 3 minutes. We have a clock up front that will give you your time and how much remaining time you have. This audience is for agenda items only. There's additional time at the end of the meeting for general audience. First up is Joel Rutherford. Oh, turn your microphone on, Mr. Rutherford. Hold on, we can't hear you. Patrick, can you check the microphone? It's okay. You're checking? Oh, thank you. Human error here. Thank you. Next, give your 3 minutes.
That's okay, now I don't feel so bad. Since you've already voted on the consent agenda, what I wanted to discuss or speak about was the appointment of Eric Hawkins as a position of the Warren Police Commissioner. It's something to me that I want to make sure that this is a discussion and that everybody understands that perhaps they didn't care for the procedure so much, but the outcome is outstanding. And that's really what I look at, and I think other residents look at as well. It's time for a change in culture. Peter Drucker, the old guy from Management Guru, said, you know, culture will eat policy for breakfast. And I think what's happened is, it's not, I've got nothing against the police officers here. I'm sure there's a lot of great police officers, but we seem to have a culture from the accident that just happened recently. Something is wrong and something needs to change. And I think Eric Hawkins will bring that change that's needed in the culture, and I think he will do what's best for every citizen in the city of Warren. That's what we need, and I really look forward to him taking that position. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mayor Stone.
Thank you for this opportunity to join you here this evening. I just really want to express my appreciation in having the support and consent of council in welcoming Eric Hawkins to Warren as our next police commissioner. I also want to express my appreciation of convening a committee of the whole. I thought that that was a fantastic opportunity to make introductions, open the floor, and give the council the opportunity to meet and ask Eric questions about what that looks like for leadership next in the police department. I know it's a long-awaited announcement, that it was very thoroughly explored. As the third largest city in the state, for me, it's about creating a process that is befitting the position of one of the most important positions that the community expects local government to deliver, which is public safety. And the largest department with the largest budget for the community. And so following the process of listen, learn, lead, we gathered input from community members on what was important to them. Chief among them was community policing and connections with our police officers, sitting down with both police officer union members as well as command staff and truly listening to theirs, which is having leadership that empowers them as proactive police, which we know as the corner of urban and suburban policing here in Warren. It is crucial that we empower our police officers to provide for the public safety. And with that, we invited to the table chiefs from across the state who were identified as being well-respected in their positions to weigh in and provide an oral board in the tradition of police office promotions. And really pleased with the feedback they provided, some insights on how they felt people presented and what they brought to the table and what they have to offer the city and citizens of Warren. And following being able to sit down and have conversations one-on-one with finalist candidates, Eric Hawkins brings a long and distinguished resume with a host of experiences from community policing, from leading large cities and diverse communities that will be a great addition to the Warren Police Department. So I want to commend just another opportunity that we're working together to serve our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Fred Hubner.
Hello there, Fred Hubner. I live on the south end, and I just wanted to talk about the consent agenda item you had. Thank you for supporting our new police commissioner. I knew him previously during his public involvement as the chief of police in Southfield, and I liked him then, and I'm looking forward to having him be the police chief here in Warren. I'm glad to see an outsider coming in. I think that even the most recent example of the tragic deaths and what that's going to do to our the money in our reserve accounts. We're self-insured here in the city of Warren. We already saw a $100 million lawsuit filed. We do need some outside perspective to make a little bit of cultural change. I'd like to balance that by saying I love our Warren police officers, and I hope that Mr. Hawkins, Chief Hawkins, will make sure that prioritizing their well-being and the care for them and making this the place that anybody who's a police officer in the state of Michigan wants to apply to come and work is priority number one, so we can attract the best and brightest from the entire region to choose to come here and stay here. Because if we do that, we'll have the best police officers and the best community. On the south end, we have exceptional problems with crime. I had an armed home invasion last year in April. Warren police responded, and he was caught at gunpoint in the front yard. And, every house on my street in the past 20 years has been broken into except for 2, or attempted to be broken into. Warren police has caught every single person except for 1 in that 20-year period, so they've got a pretty good batting average. And we appreciate our police officers. The system problem is not our police officers, it's the justice system, quite honestly. Perfect example is the gentleman who was caught armed, drugs, committed 15 home invasions, was caught at my house. He was only charged with 1 home invasion. He was not charged with the other 14. He pled. He was walked out on a $3,000 bond. I was able to fight that and get that overturned. I cannot understand how an armed home invader walks out on a $3,000 bond. I don't understand how he walks out of jail after pleading guilty to a home invasion. I don't understand how he gets away with 14 home invasions, gun charges, drug charges, being in a stolen car without any charges. But I don't blame our police officers for that. That's something we need to do to resolve with the judges that are running and the prosecutors that are running our district and circuit court, because that seems to be where that problem lies. I'm welcome to have the police chief. I hope from his end he'll keep our officers first and foremost in his thoughts, and he'll be listening to the community for feedback. And I appreciate your support. As someone on the south end, I cannot stress the most important thing in this city is our police department. I'm going to say it again. The most important thing for those of us on the south end of this city is the police department. Prioritize it in the budget, get more officers. We do not have enough officers. We have less officers per 100 residents in the city of Detroit. That's a problem. Prioritize that in the budget, take care of our officers. Let's have the best officers here in the city of Warren. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jackie Kelly Smith.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would like to speak on 4M in regards to our new police commissioner. I want to thank the mayor for reaching out to diversify our police department. I also like to thank the city council for those of you all who are also in agreement with her choice. As a resident of Warren, I've lived here over 20 years, and it is not always the best place to be when you don't know certain people, because I find that in the city of Warren, it's a lot about who you know. We have a new police commissioner that can bring outside blood into our police department. I think the citizens here deserve that. We need to have people that are going to be able to work with everyone, to protect everyone, to not have preconceived ideas about people, and let's not have no more complex rejection. I want to see this council support the mayor, as I've asked before. I would like for you all to work together. No one is always right, but sometimes we can always find consensus to work for the people. There is a sign on your building that says there's no greater service than to be of service to the community. We are the community. Let's put personal likes and dislikes aside, and let's get on board with doing what's best for the citizen of Warren. And I do believe our new police commissioner will do just that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Next is Kevin McAlpine. Ms. Harris, are you for this audience? Yeah, okay.
Hi, Kevin McAlpine. I live in the south end of Warren, and I just wanted to say that I have the highest respect for the Warren police officers and the police department. Almost 40 years I have worked as a paramedic, and I have had the opportunity to work in the city of Southfield while Eric Hawkins was also with the police department. On the heels of the Warren Police Department's recent re-accreditation with the Michigan Accreditation Commission, this horrific accident happened. And I really hope that Eric Hawkins can come in and maintain our integrity and maintain the high standards that our Warren police officers have been known for. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Harris?
Hi, Lori Harris. I am glad to be here. I see I don't know, maybe the mayor left. I appreciate that we have a police commissioner finally named. However, I am concerned that the Macomb Daily wasn't provided information, and why would they have to FOIA information about this process? And I'm also concerned about the fact that outside police officers or commissioners or whatever were the group that interviewed. I'm wondering why some of the city council or citizens who are involved, citizens who aren't involved, that we could have had more input into this process, since there were listening meetings. It seems like the final decision could have been included more of the citizens. And I also understand that his resume, being able to look and see his qualifications, was only provided to a couple people and not to anybody that would have liked to have seen it. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Tamid Chowdhury.
Hello everyone, my name is Tahmid. I live in Warren City for the last 5 years, and I just want to make a statement that I want to support the Mayor Lori Stone's appointment for Chief Hawkins as our Warren PD Police Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jacqueline Bielo. I'm going to need help with your last name. I apologize. Also can't read your writing. Great.
Hi, sorry, it's Jacqueline Bylocker.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for letting me speak. I'm just here on my behalf. I recently applied to be part of the Beautification Committee of Warren, so I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I live in the Fitzgerald neighborhood, and I live in my grandparents' house, so they've been in that house since the 60s, so I'd like to think of myself as a lifelong Warren resident. But I am invested in the beautification of the city and outreach to protecting our environment. So I just wanted to introduce myself again.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks.
Next is Joel Vanderlinden.
Joel Vanderlinden, longtime Warren resident. I don't ever want to hear about my time being up when you didn't even run the clock for the mayor and she spoke over 3 minutes. Never again. You harass all the audience about the 3-minute time limit, but the mayor spoke over it. Not a word was said. My theme for here is about Eric Hawkins. I don't know the man. I'm upset that more people were not interviewed, and it was not those people. That list was not given to the council and to the residents of all the people that were involved in it, who applied, who was interviewed and such. Plus, which I want to give a warning to Eric. Eric, you're going to move here from Albany. You should think about a few things first. You're coming to a city and you're only going to work here about a year because this mayor's going to be recalled and you're only going to have a year in here. All those expenses and moving your family, the kids to a different school is a hardship on you and kind of unfair, but the mayor will be gone this time next year. I'm sure the recall will be up for vote and she'll be dismissed. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Recall Mayor Stone.
That is the end of audience. To clarify, Mr. Vanderlinden, the clock was running for the mayor. It was not an exception. She did not go over. Everyone up here can see the clock. She didn't go over.
I watched it. She did not go over.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item, announcements.
Anyone have announcements?
Madam President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. The city of Warren lost one of its own last week, and that is our faithful photographer that was Patrick Bushmole of Patrick Studios. Patrick was a Lakeshore High School graduate, a Army veteran, was posted to Germany and Korea, and during his service while in Germany, he picked up his first camera. And in 1974, he and his wife Pam opened Patrick Studios. And it was just a few weeks ago that we honored Patrick and his wife and his family for 50 years of service to the city of Warren. I don't think there is a member at this table, a student in any of the school districts that do not know Patrick, his warm smile, and the flash of his camera. He has captured the history of Warren and was and is and will forever be a pillar in the community. His funeral was celebrated at St. Anne on Mound Road on Saturday morning. It was a beautiful funeral service. The church was almost nearly full, and it was a beautiful tribute to the man, his life, and his legacy. There was a beautiful photo of him with his camera right here, and just a testament to the love that he shared for everyone on the other side of that lens. So with that, we'd like to extend, on behalf of the City Council, our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to his wife Pamela, his children, Patrick Jr., Shannon, Courtney, and his many grandchildren. Ask for a moment of silence.
Thank you.
I have one more announcement. The Warren Civic Theater will be performing The Addams Family here at the Warren Community Center on Friday, November 1st, Saturday the 2nd, and November 3rd. Please go to Warren Civic Theater, or warrencivic.org for tickets. There are the evening shows are at 7 o'clock, and the matinee is at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Going to be a packed house, so please get your tickets early online. Again, warrencivic.org. It's going to be a terrific show, Halloween themed. They just had a costume party for the cast and crew over at the Owen Jacks Center. There's lots of excitement that they're going to bring to this stage. So great show. Bring the family out for a nice event. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional announcements?
Madam President.
Ms. McGee.
I just wanted to remind everyone in the city of Warren that early voting will begin on October the 26th. Please make sure that you get out and vote. Your vote do matter, and return all your absentee ballots. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Moore.
Yes, I would just like to announce the next performance of the Warren Symphony is on November 24th. It is Beethoven's Symphony No. 3, also featuring Brahms' Tragic Overture and Strauss' Death and Transfiguration. That's at 3 p.m. at the Warren Woods Middle School Auditorium.
Any additional announcements? Mr. Lafferty.
Sorry, I just had one more item come in, and this is there will be a Veterans Day celebration, and this will be held on Friday, November 15th at 10:30 a.m. This will be at City Hall in the first floor conference room, and food and beverages will be served. And so this is titled Honoring Heroes with Harmony, a Brass and Breakfast. And once again, Friday, November 15th, 10:30 a.m. at City Hall.
Thank you. I have a few announcements. One is the Women of Warren is hosting a personal safety and self-defense workshop at the Warren Police Department tomorrow from 6 to 8. If you're a member, I think it's free. If you are not a member, it's a fairly minimal cost, $5 or $10. I think that's a great opportunity to learn some self-defense and some tips and tricks from the police department. Wanted to thank Captain Dillenbeck and Deputy Commissioner Rushton for the community policing event that they put on last week. A number of council had previously participated, but a number of us participated this past week where we went door to door with the fire department and some police officers and handed out literature, talked to folks about concerns in their neighborhood and how we can be helpful. And it was a really great time and an opportunity to spend time with our public safety officers. And then I just want to remind folks that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Make sure that you get a mammogram. The numbers are only increasing for the number of folks being diagnosed. And that is all that I have.
Ready?
End of audience. Next item.
Next item, 11A, which is a public hearing, request to vacate public utility easement, vacate the existing north-south 10-foot wide public utility easement abutting lots 97 through 101 and lots 202 through 205 of Frank C. Knowles Sunset Hills subdivision located between Prospect Avenue and Groesbeck Avenue, 21311 Groesbeck, Section 35, Braze Investments, LLC, Calvin Hermes, Victor Pirami Land Holding, LLC, PEV 240004.
Ms. Birdie, are you here with the petitioner?
I am.
Okay, we're going to have city staff summarize first. You can just hang out there. Is someone from the administration able to give us a brief overview of this item?
Good evening, Honorable Council, President Rogenzi. And I'm here to answer questions, unless you want a description of this. Is that the idea?
If you could give us a brief description of.
All right, this particular one is a 10-foot, well, let me start over. You're going to see 3 of these utility easement and vacation of alleys in a row here, all stemming from a site plan in the area of Topher and Groesbeck. It's an auto recycling area. These came about as a result of a site plan approval request, and they became part of the requirement for the approval. So that's what you see here. And so in this first one, it's a 10-foot wide public utility easement only. And let me see here. It's I have to read this, but it's lengthy as far as the length of it, but it's a matter of the use of getting it vacated is necessary so that the petitioner can utilize the rest of the property for his recycling facility. So I'm just kind of summarizing. If you have any questions regarding that, I think you have the packet in front of you. There's a decent looking graphic of it, and you can see it's sort of on an angle here to some degree, but it runs right down to Groesbeck Highway from Prospect. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will open the public hearing. Anyone want to speak? Petitioner, you can certainly, Ms. Birdie, you can speak.
Good evening. Karen Birdie on behalf of iDrive Auto Parts. It is a recycling yard, and I'm very proud to represent them because as far as it goes for our environment, this is the way that business should be done. As debilitated cars come in, the fluids are drained out of the vehicles, harvested are parts off of the vehicles that are still good, or parts off of the vehicles. When everything is harvested that can be harvested, there's a crusher truck that comes, crushes and recycles the metal, and the process goes over and over. Prior to my client, Calvin Hermes, who's here this evening, wave, buying the property, this was a junkyard, not a salvage yard. And he came in and he cleaned up that entire property. I have before and after photos, and now he runs this salvage yard. The area that he owns is part of the Frank C. Knowles Sunset Hills subdivision. It's hard for us to imagine that 8 Mile and Groesbeck was supposed to be houses and a subdivision. This subdivision was filed prior to Groesbeck going in. That's how long ago this was filed. And what in fact has happened is that's an industrial area of our city. And so people who have businesses there, industrial businesses, end up with these large accumulation of property that have streets running through them, alleys running through them, public utility easements running through them, and it prohibits them from combining lots or from using all of their property to build things, et cetera, because of all these alleys, et cetera. So what's before you today, this item, is this orange easement. Prior to the city becoming a city, the Macomb County government already vacated this alley. The problem is they kept a public utility easement. I have to vacate that public utility easement for my client to be able to develop this part of his property. So the process is, of course, I have to go through the city. And if the city agrees with the vacation, then I go to the circuit court because it's a platted subdivision. I notify everybody within 300 feet and all the utilities, Lara, the Public Works Commissioner of Macomb County. That's just a sampling of the idea of everyone who gets served and given notice of this. And then we go through the process of putting together the vacation by making sure that those who have a right to use this public utility easement have an opportunity to be heard and for us to reroute utilities and address any concerns that there may be. So this is the middle of the process. My next step is I have to go to circuit court.
Thank you.
Madam
Is there
Chair?
can we finish audience? Oh, I thought we were done. No. Anyone, if you want to sit tight, Ms. Birdie, I'm sure we'll have questions. Is there any, it's okay. Anyone else from the audience want to speak during the public hearing? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action.
Madam Chair, motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Ms. Birdie, so with the Comcast and DTE, do you have to go through a special vacation with them?
No, it's all one lawsuit of which they're named. All those utilities that you saw who wrote are named in it. And what happens is we all come together at court and somebody says, I have utilities in there, we got to move them. We make a new plan and then the utilities are moved, usually at the cost, unfortunately, of my client.
Okay, so you eventually will work that out.
That all
we don't
gets
have to worry
worked out.
about that at this point. That's something you'll work out later in the circuit court.
That all gets worked out at the circuit court and they are included.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Birdie.
Good evening.
Just one question. It applies to all three of the revisions that we're doing tonight. It's noted here that there are already some vacations already approved. Do these three vacations make this contiguous throughout the entire property?
Yes, that's a very good question. Many of the easements, Edom has already been vacated. This portion has already been vacated. And so what has happened is that they were vacated so long ago that they were completely vacated under the laws, or those that weren't are going to be included in my lawsuit. But I already have the resolution from the city for those items.
Okay, so with the votes tonight, with the easement vacations approved, you won't have to come back for further vacations for this particular subdivision?
I shouldn't have to, and at that point, all the ones I know about, I shouldn't have to. And after the vacations, we can make it one, we can do lot combinations. All my lot combinations right now are blocked by many of these alleys. So if I have an alley that's running down through here, I can't combine these lots with these. So once I get rid of these three, I believe that I can combine everything together into one tax ID number.
Now, see, you're so good at what you're doing that you're anticipating my next question, Ms. Birdie. So Thank you. That's where I was coming from was the continuous nature of the easements, and then if we were going to make a uniform approach for the remainder of the plat. So
Yes.
makes sense. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore? Yes. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
11B, which is a public hearing, request to vacate public alley and utility easement, vacate the existing north-south 7-foot wide public alley and utility easement abutting lots 55 through 67 of Frank C. Knowles Sunset Hills subdivision located on the north side of Prospect Avenue and west of Groesbeck Highway, 21311 Groesbeck, Section 35, Braze Investments, LLC, and Edom Properties, LLC, Calvin Hermes, Selman Transportation, Inc., Gerald Selman, R&S Grant Investment Company, LLC, Robert Grant.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience that wants to speak during this time?
The only thing I wanted to show was that would be this right here, so that you could have an idea. And my client's property goes across here, and these are the other owners who have joined in to this petition. So everyone on this side, and then my client have all agreed. I thought it would be a waste if I went to circuit court and just did from here to here when we could help our neighbors and get rid of that one too.
Thank you. Mr. Worth, is there anything additional that we should know?
No, I think that Ms. Birdie has described it perfectly as the first one and what needs to be done, you know, in circuit court. And the combination will come up later. We'll do that right in our office once all these are put together. So,
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience that wants to speak? Okay, close the public hearing and turn it over to council for action.
Motion to
Support Lafferty.
Discussion. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is yes. Motion carries. Next item.
11C, public hearing, request to vacate public alley and utility easement, vacate the existing north-south 14-foot wide public alley and utility easement abutting lots 72 through 96 and lots 206 through 232 of Frank C. Knowles Sunset Hills subdivision located between Prospect Avenue and Topher Road, 21311 Groesbeck, Section 35, Braze Investments LLC, and Edom Properties LLC, Calvin Hermes, Selman Transportation, Inc., Gerald Selman, PAV 240002.
We'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak? Ms. Birdie?
Yes, Karen Birdie again. On this one, it's the green line running all the way down. My client's property stops here, but we spoke to the neighbors and figured why go for part of it if we could help our neighbors out at the same time that we're doing this. So it's this entire alley.
Thank you. Mr. Worth, anything additional to add? You can give me a thumbs up if it's no. Thank you. I will turn it over to council for action.
Motion
close the public hearing, turn it over to council.
Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
12A, proposed resolution approving assignment and assumption of conditional rezoning agreement from Symmetry Property Management and Realty, Inc., and 12 Mound Development, LLC, to Symmetry and CWP West, LLC. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Michaels, please.
Any discussion? Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Michaels, please. Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Michaels, please.
Good evening, Councilman.
Good evening, Ms. Michaels. I was, in reading the conditional rezoning agreement, or the assignment rather, on page 2, section 2, it indicates 12 Mound for itself, its members, officers, and so on and so forth, irrevocably assigns to CWP all of its rights, titles, interests, and obligations under the agreement. But in the following paragraph under section 3, it also states 12 Mound will remain obligated to the city for obligations not performed by CWP. Could you please explain that?
It's complimentary. If CWP does not perform, obviously what it states is that the original developer or owner will step in. However, until that happens, CWP will be the party to the agreement and will be responsible for the obligations.
Okay, and
So
all...
it's supplement, think of it as supplementary.
Sure.
I was surprised that the original owner agreed to it, but I shouldn't say I was surprised, I was pleased that they agreed to at least secure the performance.
All right, so either way, we're covered.
We're covered,
with,
yes.
With however it reads.
Correct. Plus, Symmetry is still a party to the agreement. The original developer is still a party to the agreement.
Mm-hmm. With the and the only reason I'm asking with the assignments that I have done, it's a cutoff. You're going from typically an acquisition or a merger. They're going from one name to another, and this is a partner.
Most assignors are correct. It is a partnership, but most assignors do. They want to be cut off.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to have to secure performance. Once in a while, we have a developer who's willing to do that. In this case, they were willing to do it.
All right. Now, and this will also obligate them to any forthcoming conditions, correct?
The assignee, the new company, will agree to any future conditions.
Okay.
I don't think that the original landowner will take on a new obligation.
No,
Right.
and I think you know what I'm referring to. As this is the car wash.
The car wash, correct. You mean the hours of operation?
Mm-hmm. The
Yes.
hours of operation.
Yes.
All right. So
they're committing to everything.
All right.
The assignee is committing to all obligations. It's spelled out, I think, fairly clearly. They're
Okay.
assuming the obligations.
all right. And then I just had one other. Thank you, Ms. Michaels. Through the chair to, Madam Chair, to Ms. Moore, there was a misspelling in the resolution. It was the final paragraph on the first page. CWP West LLC is a subsidiary of the nation's largest car wash operator. So it says car was operator. So just for
Okay.
clarification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion?
If I may, Madam Chair, just to make a record, the assignment is going to be put in recordable form, and it will be recorded, and it will incorporate the actual date when council approved the resolution of the lawsuit. So that correction will be made in the assignment. Okay? Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Brogan C is yes. Motion carries. The next item.
12B, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving the continuation of Medicare Advantage prescription-only policy for retirees 65. In addition, moving the BCN post-65 retirees to BCN Medicare Advantage. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. I think this is just a change of vendor, not a change of coverage. The coverage stays the same. Or at least I hope that's, I got several calls today from people very concerned about this in their retirement.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Warren, Benefits Administrator. I've had several calls as well. No, this is, it's a cost savings to the city. It's the same vendor BCN is still being handled by Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's the same deductibles, the same prescription co-pays, everything's the same. It's just a cost savings measure to combine Medicare and the Blue Cross or the Blue Care Network together.
Okay, but it has no effect on the coverage for the retirees?
Correct.
Okay, I'm good. You want to say something, Mr. Mueller?
No, we're just changing the delivery system where Medicare Part A and B were primary, and then Blue Cross, BCN stepped in second. Now BCN will assume through the Medicare Advantage the entire cost and be subsidized by Medicare Part A and B.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
12C, proposed resolution authorizing an easement use agreement between the Red Run Intercounty Drain District and the City of Warren. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Discussion, anyone? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13A, Council Secretary Mindy Moore, discussion and Ray, request for administration to form an RFP to invite proposals to forward to the newly formed City of Warren Land Bank Authority for technical, administrative, and consulting services relating to land bank activities. Council office will provide to Purchasing Division a sample RFP used by Land Bank Authority in another jurisdiction for specific duties and qualifications for a consultant. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Support McGee. I should beat you to it this time, Jonathan. Ms. Moore, discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so as everyone knows, we have a signed agreement. We have formed a land bank, and we will need a consultant to handle land bank activities that will be paid for once we start applying for grants with the state. We have approved the document. We are just waiting on the administration and the clerk to sign it. There's no approval needed, so hopefully we can nudge them along to sign the document so we can get our request for grant money so that we have it in the next year. The time is shortening on us where we have those opportunities. We have had discussions with our state legislators about that, who are going to help us in that regard. And the sooner we get this rolling, the better for us. So I'm going to implore that the mayor just affix their signature and pass it on to the clerk so that we can move on with this. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is Council Secretary Mindy Moore, discussion in Ray, November 5, 2024, general election. So moved.
Support
Discussion.
Lafferty.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. In this next general election, we now have early voting, absentee voting, and the new rules allow counting to be done up to 8 days before the election. Warren has already missed that mark. The clerk did not tell the state that she would be willing to count those votes. I found out about this. There was a Voice of a Democracy panel a couple weeks ago where the county clerk and other clerks around the area and some other folks were involved talking about the election, and they talked about, they were urging everybody to count, every city to count their votes early when they're allowed to. And the clerk expressed some frustration that one of the largest cities in the state was not going to be participating in early counting, and somebody in the audience says, "Who is that?" And they said, "Warren." And so I want to make it clear that the city council had nothing to do with that decision, and that during the budget process, we were not asked to appropriate any funds for equipment or personnel to aid in that activity of counting the votes early. As you know, in years past, Macomb County has been a very interesting voting block for the rest of the world to look at. And we certainly don't want our votes to be the last one coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Warren has been very slow with election results. We understand that the clerk has refused to do early voting, and the time has passed for her to tell the state she would be doing that. Certainly the county clerk and the state elections department will help her if she would at least start counting the day before. As many of you know, we have many more early voting and absentee voters than ever, and to count them the day before certainly makes sense so that you have 2 days to do that. It's important for us to have the results. There are some big elections this year that people are interested that could change certainly how things look in Washington going forward. And there are candidates running for office that have put their heart and soul into these campaigns, their families, their money, and they sit with their supporters the night of the election waiting for the results, and oftentimes they have to leave the party because there's no results and go home and wait for them to come out at 2 in the morning. There are other things the county has offered to do to speed up this process. I would certainly urge the clerk to take them up on any help they can give to make the voting go faster. If there might not be anything we can do now, but in the future, if there's anything we need to do, appropriate funds for faster equipment, more help around election time, we will certainly consider that. The clerk said that she would rather be efficient than fast, which didn't make sense to me, because on one hand, she would have 8 days to count, and on the way she's chosen, it's 1 day. That makes no sense, the argument for that one. But I don't know what she's thinking. Perhaps they don't have the ability, they don't have the training or the know-how, and certainly maybe in the next year they could have avail themselves of that training so that they can do early counting. I'm sure maybe my colleagues have something to say about this, but we've always supported and done everything as a council. The last term, Ms. Rogan-C, Mr. Lafferty, remember that we offered to help in any way we could. We actually put into the budget things that were not even mandated yet by the state, but of course the clerk didn't do those until it was mandated. But we find ourselves in a pattern that seems to keep repeating itself from the clerk's office. So I think there's an obligation to do things as efficiently as you can, and I'm disappointed that the votes are not going to be counted early. I hope they're at least counted the day before, so that gives you a little head start on the counting. Thank you.
Any additional discussion?
Madam President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. I too am concerned. And I can understand that the clerk believes that this is going to be a fast and efficient process, but I also look at this from a technological standpoint and the fact that the unplanned will happen. This is the largest election of a 4-year cycle, and many things happen throughout the election day. The clerk must prepare for every single contingency, and to arbitrarily decrease her window for opportunity is not good planning. I disagree with this approach. Of course, I can't tell the clerk what to do. We can't tell the clerk what to do. The only thing we can do from this dais is offer assistance, and we've done that. The county clerk has offered, the Secretary of State has offered, and our clerk has refused. I'm concerned that the short amount of time, if something goes wrong, there's a power outage. If there's other, we experienced that back in August, and there was confusion on election day as to where to go vote. These types of issues are not something that you can plan, And if you give yourself an extra window of opportunity, if you're granted that extra window of opportunity, why not take advantage of it? There is absolutely no harm in availing of yourself of a legal and process that would allow you to count these votes and get them done ahead of time, securely, safely, with integrity, just as it's been afforded to by the state and the county. And then election day comes and you don't have as much to worry about on that final day. So I stand by Ms. Moore, the council. We stand ready to assist. I just wish you would take our hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lafferty. Any additional discussion?
Madam President, through the chair.
Mr. Dwyer.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to say is certainly the integrity of the election process is of utmost importance. Whatever process assures the most accuracy, I believe, is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion?
Chair?
Ms. Moore.
I would just add one thing that I would like to refer to the Election Commission, a request for them to hold a special meeting and perhaps discuss whether the counting should at least start the day before. The Election Commission can make that decision, and I would certainly hope that they would do that. You know, we need transparency, and I'm concerned that this decision was made wholly by the clerk and not the Election Commission. Thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Noonan.
Yes, through the President to Ms. Moore. Is it true that the clerk could be counting even 10 days before the election?
8, I believe it's 8. It's
8?
8.
Okay, so if she wanted to, she could start 3 days before also, right?
No.
No?
Not now. The window has expired. You have to notify the state 30 days before the election that you intend to count the votes in that 8-day period leading up to. In the alternative, if you've not notified the state, you still may start counting the day before, which that could help, certainly, even one day, I would think. And I think it's, you know, of course it's going to be more efficient if you have 2 days to do something than if you have one.
That
So
certainly
even
seems
that-
really advisable.
Yeah.
Also, it seems like it would be easier on the staff and maybe possibly more cost-effective because maybe less overtime. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. And also, the county has offered to come and pick up the sticks from the machines.
Right.
And take them right to the county, and I understand that the clerk has refused that as well. So-
Thank you for bringing this up. I yield.
And Detroit is going to count theirs, and they want to have 100% of their results by midnight. That's a big job.
Well, when it comes to, yeah, it'd be nice if we were handling it as competitively. You know, I don't want Warren to be beat out. We're a good city.
This should be done by, it should be done by 10 o'clock. If you had the early voting count, if you did the early voting, you should have that done. And there's no reason that results couldn't be released by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? Motion to receive and file. All in favor?
Refer
Oh.
this to the Election Commission.
Thank you. So refer to the Election Commission.
For a discussion.
So Ms. Moore and Mr. Lafferty, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes, indubitably.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 13C, Councilmember Jonathan Lafferty, discussion in re request for crosswalk marking and signage at all city parks.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Support.
Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Mazzarelli, and as he approaches, wanted to introduce this. Many of our parks have a dedicated egress or an approach sidewalk that is not located within our standard crosswalks at a corner. And we've had some concerns that have been brought to my attention, And Butcher Park, and I'll show a graphic here in a moment, Butcher Park happens to have one of these, and I was thinking maybe we could use this as an example. And what I'm asking for is a designated sidewalk or walkway striping across the main road that would indicate to approaching drivers, thank you, Mr. Patrick, that would indicate to drivers that they're approaching what might be a hidden approach where children and families might be crossing. And that striping would include a restricted parking zone ahead of that crosswalk, so directly in front of the oncoming traffic. In this example, on the right-hand side, park goers and others will park parallel on the side of the road and many times block that approach. They don't even know it's there, or they're choosing to park in front of it. And I've seen it myself. Children are hiding, behind those cars, ready to dart out. And unfortunately, people are not traveling 20 or 25 miles an hour. They're traveling much, much faster. So the idea here is to, produce some easy signage, put some crosswalk markings on that road, just to indicate that there is another access road to, or access sidewalk to the parks, and give everyone safe crossing and visibility. Mr. Mazzarelli.
So after I saw good evening, Council. So after I saw this, I made contact with you, and we sent engineering out to take a look at the trouble areas that you'd mentioned. Unfortunately, the sidewalk and the easement that are currently there don't line up. So what we're going to have, engineering has already made plans to move the sidewalk cut over and make it line up. We're going to mark it off as a crosswalk with our regular crosswalk markings, and then put yield to pedestrian crosswalk signs on either side. So we should have that started probably by late probably within the next 2 weeks.
That is terrific.
And also at that point too, we're going to make over the winter, this fall and early spring, we'll go and evaluate the rest of the parks that haven't been evaluated already. But part of our plan, our ADA study, we went and had all the parks evaluated, and they pointed out a couple other crosswalks that needed to be addressed. So we are aware of a couple of them. They're on the ticket to be added, and we'll move forward with it as soon as we can.
That'll be wonderful. The last time we had crossing markings on that new subdivision where you now have Eaton,
yep.
and that whole subdivision used to be South Elementary School.
Right.
And so there was plenty of markings way back then.
And that original cut that's into the park there, that used to be the actual entrance for the garbage truck to go into the park. Now it's more used as a pedestrian access. So we're going to fix that up. Like I said, we should have it in the next couple weeks.
This sounds like a great model for the remainder of our parks that fall into the same scenario.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing us our attention.
Madam Chair?
Appreciate it.
Mr. Lafferty?
I yield. Thank you.
Ms. Moore, and then Mr. Noonan?
Okay.
Mazzarelli for president. I'm just saying. T-shirts? Great idea, Mr. Lafferty, and your
That's
cooperation,
the
again,
engineering staff.
is greatly appreciated.
Our engineering staff is great.
Thank you. Mr. Noonan?
Yes. Director Mazzarelli, is it possible that there could be the handicap bumps put in there too when the sidewalks are aligning? It looks like a spot where it'd be a good idea to have those so that...
The directional bumps
Yeah.
Those, it'll
part of the
have
plan
those.
already?
Yeah, it's
Cool.
When we replace the new cuts, they always get those, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure they're in there.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Any additional discussion? This is a motion to receive and file, correct?
Is that I guess that's appropriate, sure.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Mazzarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 12D, Council President Rogan C. and Councilmember Boyke, discussion regarding updates to dog ordinance. So moved.
Support Dwyer.
Thank you. Mr. Boyke and I had both received calls from constituents, so this is an ongoing issue within the city, dog bites for folks who are walking their dogs, and a dog attacks a smaller dog and/or dogs breaking out of their backyard, posing threats. Mr. Lafferty had a really horrible situation in his district. And Mr. Boyke and I were talking about this last meeting or 2 meetings ago, that we had not received an update. Put this on the agenda thanks to the city attorney's office. Jennifer Pierce reached out to me shortly after the agenda was published and provided the most updated version of the ordinance and asked that she have another 30 days to bring it to the Animal Welfare Commission one more time before they send it over to council for revisions. Mr. Dwyer is on that commission as ex officio. I'm sure can provide some additional details, but that is the update that I have, and I'm confident that she'll send it over for us to review in the near future.
Yep, Madam President, through the chair.
Mr. Dwyer.
Yeah, just follow up. Yes, we have been looking at this obviously for quite some time, and it does appear that we should be able to wrap this up at our next meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, motion to receive and file here. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Next item.
Next item is 14A, proposed ordinance amendment to the Parks and Recreation Commission, enabling ordinance, Chapter 23, Section 23-35, first reading. Motion to approve with
Support.
discussion.
Support, Mr. Noonan. Motion, more. Discussion, more.
Yes. Just to summarize, all this is it's changing the meeting times from once a month to quarterly in the ordinance, which is the practice they're following now. That's all.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 14B, proposed resolution approving application with County of Macomb for Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, fiscal year 2024, local solicitation, and authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute memorandum of understanding. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion. Hearing none, I will call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Boyke?
Yes.
Mr. Noonan?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Rogan C. is a yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is audience participation for general topics.
First is Mr. Wesley Arnold. Don't take a seat yet, sir.
I'm running as fast as I can.
Okay.
Time for something positive for a change. Thank you, City Council, for your time. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for all you do. I'm fed up with all this negative stuff that's always up here. And thank you for your diligence. I've seen, with this council in particular, and a few of the past councils, that some of the members seem to do a lot of extra work. And a lot of the citizens are not aware of the extra time that you put in on this stuff. Now, I'm the old historian. I've been doing this stuff for like 50 years or something, maybe 60, I don't know. And I remember the old city councils and the old city building. Wow, some of those sessions got pretty fiery. I remember when somebody insulted the city once, and Harold Stilwell got up and he let them have it. Wow, it was flame. Wow, something else. But anyway, as the old historian, I have to say that it looks to me that this is the best city council ever. So I want to thank you very much again for your good work. And just thanks on behalf of a lot of our citizens, most of our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Something positive.
Ms. Harris.
We're going to get out of here early tonight. Woo! That's great. I wanted to say hi to Tony and Dorothy Baker. And Tony, I want to thank you for fighting for ADA compliance and for the city to be more aware of accessibility. And you know why. We've got to get the word out. We've got to start paying attention to this issue. If you're sitting here, you notice that Mr. Arnold had a hard time coming down the aisle of the auditorium, and that's because the angle is too steep for ADA guidelines. So every day we get to face these issues, and I'm grateful that I can walk and not have that problem, but one day I may have a problem too, and so may you. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that the clerk is not sharing why she's refusing to do what the county or the state has asked her to do. It would certainly be a lot easier to understand if there was a valid reason why she, of all the different places, has better knowledge of what to do than any other big city. So her decision to do it her way would imply that nobody else knows what they're doing and they're going to do it wrong. And I don't think that's right either. So I think we need to have, people really need to be concerned about this issue because it gives a bad name to our city. And other than that, I want everyone to have a great 2 weeks. I'm assuming the meeting will be changed for November. No. Oh, the next meeting will be after the election. So everybody go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joel Vanderlinden.
Joel Vanderlinden, longtime Warren resident. We were talking earlier about transparency, but the lack of transparency with the mayor. We had some of the mayor's people coming up here blaming the council for things not being done and not working with the mayor. I was disappointed that nobody on the council spoke up and said the truth that the mayor is not working with you. We need someone to stand up and say all the things that are going on, which is questionable at City Hall. Not worry about what the other members are going to say, but speak up. We need to worry about this next election. We need to worry about the clerk's office. There were so many concerns about the past election, votes not being counted, votes disappearing. I think maybe you guys should be there at the, where they're counting everything, overlooking what the clerk's office is doing, questioning why votes are being blocked or destroyed, or I can't think of the proper term. And why, if they are, she's not calling these people up so they can come fix their vote. That's what she's supposed to do. She says you can call this City Hall and you can double check and see if your vote was done. The election's already called, the people are already announced as winners. What's going on? I'm worried about the transparency of the clerk's office. I'm worried about the transparency of the mayor's office. I mean, she cried about it in her whole election and she has done none. I'm worried about the transparency of this council. I'm worried about the transparency of our state reps. I got 2 flyers this week talking about a state rep who was part of a Ponzi scheme that was tied up with our mayor and members of this council, where that illegal money may or probably went. The last time I checked, the mayor is still in default. owes the state $500 and still hasn't turned in her accountant that was due in June, her campaign finance account, I'm sorry, because in my eyes, she's hiding where all that money went. And she's hiding where her involvement with all this money has gone.
You're at time, Mr. Van der Linden.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate it.
Have a good evening. Gloria Sanker?
An election is coming up. What are we voting for? I think it's security for our country. Is that a concern for America? Yeah, I think so. It's called open borders. Remember that long, strong wall that Trump built? First thing Biden and Harris did was to knock it down and welcome every illegal in from every foreign land. Remember what our Statue of Liberty says? Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Nowhere did it say, bring me your terrorists, your drug dealers, your murderers, etc. But this is what Harris is committed to. When asked what would she do different from what Biden did, she said, nothing. And then we recall what another great man said. He says, I have a dream, not I have a nightmare. But that's what it's been for people living on the border. Illegal stealing, break-ins, destruction of property, etc. Illegals have raped and killed several young women. They have battered police while trashing and looting stores. They have brought in fentanyl, a killer drug. Hundreds of children have been missing, taken at the border by human trafficking, and yet illegals are still here for us to house, feed, and clothe. Carmelo's policies have given illegals lavish living conditions while our veterans beg on the streets. A vote for Carmelo will continue to keep the border open with the possibility of illegals taking over our country from within by the millions that are here let in. Under her control, illegals are given special rights to be flown here and go wherever they want in the middle of the night. We, the taxpayers, pay for it. This injustice to the American people is done on purpose. She doesn't want police enforcement to vet illegals as they come in. It's all about changing America and giving illegals the right to vote so that there will only be a one-party system. She is the most radical person to ever run for president. She's obsessed with abortion and wants it for all 9 months of pregnancy and against giving medical help to the born alive after a failed abortion. My father fought in World War I, my brother fought in World War II, and another fought in the Korean War. They did not fight for open borders or illegals to be given benefits or the abortion of babies through 9 months of pregnancy. This is inhumane, and not acceptable to the American people.
You're at
Careful.
time. Thank you. Next item. It's the end of audience.
Next item is council response to audience.
Early responses, anyone? Okay, next item.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.